Welcome to the Deathcare Marketing Show.
What if your next pre-event family didn't come from an ad, but from a community event where no one was thinking about funerals? Today, we're talking about why being known before you're needed is one of the smartest marketing strategies in funeral service. Hi, I'm Mary Barnett, and this is the Deathcare Marketing Show. We talk real funeral home marketing strategy, automation, compassion, without the fluff. I've got 37 years of marketing experience, and I'm bringing you Deathcare thought leaders to share what works, what doesn't, and what is worth doing now. So let's get into it. Our guest today is Maddison Bakker. She's an award-winning licensed funeral director with Huff Guthrie Funeral Home and Cremation Services, Inc., and a recipient of the Rising Star Award with OGR. Maddison is part of a new generation of funeral professionals who are helping redefine what it means to serve families, not just after a loss, but as an active, trusted presence in the community. Maddison, welcome to the Deathcare Marketing Show. Hi, Maddison. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am very well. Thank you so much for taking the time out to be on the show. I absolutely admire you. Like, you are killing it, girl. Like, you just, won a big award at an international association. You are blessing Adam and his company by coming on. So I think that everybody in this profession has a story. So you don't accidentally become a funeral director, right? So can you tell us a little bit as we get started about your journey and what drew you to funeral service?
Yeah, absolutely. This was not what I had planned to do at first. When I was a senior in high school, at the beginning of the year, I was already, had my application sent to Savannah College of Art and Design. I was going to go to art school. I was
Did
going to
you
go to
know that my
school.
daughter went there?
I think
I
you had
didn't realize
mentioned it
that.
the first time we met. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Sorry. I'm like, what? My brain kicked in. I apologize. Okay. So you go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I had sent was working on my portfolio my senior year to send down there. I was fully intending to go live in Georgia, have fun down there. But it was really kind of strange how it happened. It was just kind of a God thing, it just felt like a tap on the shoulder, and it's like he pointed me in this direction. So I just kind of
Wow.
took it and ran with it. And it's, everything's worked out really well so far. So I'm definitely blessed to have been, put into this field, because it's certainly not something I'd ever, thought of myself doing. So yeah.
Yeah. That is amazing. And you're starting out at such a, considering you're 23 or 24.
Mhm. I'm 23. I'm going to be turning 24 this year. Yeah.
Okay. A year younger than my daughter. And you are literally like, I talked to Adam privately, and he says he feels so blessed that you're on his team. And did you start off as an intern with him and then it transitioned to a full time, or how did that come about?
Pretty much, yeah. So again, my senior year of high school, towards, the middle end of the school year, I was working here just kind of part-time, helping out with whatever needed done, office things, yard work, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then during my time in mortuary school, I would come home on the weekends. It's about, an hour and a half drive. So whenever I had a long weekend or I wasn't, doing prep work at the school or anything like that, I'd come work on the weekends, visitations, that sort of thing. And then I did my what's called a practicum, which is through the mortuary school, but you have to get, so many hours of work experience with a funeral home signed off. So I did that here. And then, I did do my internship, and then Adam had offered me the position. So I was just thrilled, because this is my hometown. I'm serving people that I grew up with, people that took care of me. I get to be close to my family. It's been a blessing. It really has been.
That is so cool. That is
Yeah.
really cool. Like a hometown story. In fact, I would like, in fact, let's just share this now, because we're talking all about in the show about community events and how they
Mhm.
really are a excellent way to market your company. And this show is all about showing funeral homes different ideas, right? Different
Mhm.
ways to make their funeral home known before they're needed. And community events are perfect for that. And this is just one example. This isn't actually an event, but yesterday you did a really cool event we're going to talk about. But I was stalking you a little bit on Facebook, and I saw this picture, and I have to show this. So this is just one example something that you can do to establish yourself as a community leader. Tell me a little bit about this sign that's right in front of your building here.
Yeah, so this sign is something that Adam started, I think, right when he had taken over the business a few years ago. Um,
Okay.
he has always had a passion for caring for veterans through, funeral care and pretty much everything he does. And he has made the funeral home a member of a group called Veteran Funeral Care based out of Florida. With
Okay.
that veteran funeral care title, there's a few different things that we're allowed to do that are licensed by them, just to really help us honor those veterans and military families here in our area. But this sign, the Memorial Day We Remember signs, he gets one of these made every year. And the very first name is, I think the first veteran family that he took care of, under his ownership. And then all the way down at the bottom was the most recent veteran we had taken care of up until, he sent that sign to be printed at the print company. But we stick this out on the yard every Memorial Day. And it just, this was, I think 2 years ago, we had a different size sign and we ended up needing to have two because there were so many names. We shrunk them down
Wow.
a little bit this year just to fit it all on one, but it's really cool to be a part of that with this funeral home. I have
Yeah,
a lot of military family, so it's, something close to my heart as well. But it's really
sure.
cool the response we get from that. Um,
And
like I said,
for
we can,
people that are listening to the podcast, so I didn't mean to interrupt for a second, Madison.
no, you're fine.
People listening to the podcast, they have no idea what we're looking at a picture. So again, you need to follow Three's social media on Facebook. It's a big sign that lists all the names of the veterans that they've served. And what you started to say about how it really reinforces the community. I
Mhm.
love what the people who are recognizing this in front of your building said. If you're passing through Franklin, take a moment and stop by Huff Guthrie Funeral Home and pause. Displayed in front of the funeral home as part of their past Memorial Day celebration are the names of every veteran they have had the honor of caring for since 2007. 2017, creating a powerful tribute to the men and women who have served our country. Because a simple reminder that behind every name is a story, a family, and a legacy of service. Like,
And
wow,
that's
I
exactly
have
it. That's
shivers.
exactly it. Yeah. Yep, they
Yeah.
worded that very well on there, and it was so sweet of them to post that. Yeah, they go around just to local businesses, organizations, events that are happening, and post on Facebook about it. But it was really nice to just see that pop up on my feed, and it wasn't even connected to we didn't they posted it themselves. We didn't ask them to. It was a
Right. Which
nice
makes it even
little
more
deed.
special that you're being recognized for
Yeah,
how you show up in the
exactly.
community, which is
Mhm.
great. Awesome. Oh, so one of the things that I find really exciting is hearing from young leaders like yourself, because you bring a fresh perspective while still honoring the traditions of the profession. So, from where you sit, what do you think your generation sees differently about funeral service?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. I feel like we are the younger generations, we have grown up in all of the changes that have kind of happened in the past few years. Um,
Okay.
People are more into social media, more into technology. They're more into just this interesting social area that we're in. People
Yeah.
aren't as they aren't as forward with people in public. I feel like it's a little bit harder to connect with people,
Mm,
just again because you're always on a screen. Which I mean, that's just the way the world is now. But I feel
right.
like younger funeral directors might have a little bit of a better way or a better understanding of how to connect with people through this time. I mean,
Hmm.
because even 10 years ago, people communicated completely differently. I mean,
Right.
it feels like
Right.
everything now is online and there's not as much in person, face to face conversation. So I think
Yeah.
it for older generations, I feel like that can definitely be a challenge. It's a challenge for me
Right.
sometimes. I mean,
Yes.
things are still changing. We're still, rapidly learning new things. But I
Yeah.
feel like there's maybe again, just a different understanding of those kinds of aspects. Um, but I think it all goes hand in hand. The younger generations still definitely need those older director generations, excuse me, to make it all mesh together, because we're not serving
Sure.
just one demographic, I mean, we're serving everyone. So we
Yeah.
really need
But
to
what's
have
nice is I think that, yeah, I think that, oh, so I'm sorry. There's like a little delay. We always respect our elders, right? They bring the wisdom, they bring the tradition. And so it's honoring what has happened in the past. But what's nice is that you're almost creating this new wave of
Mhm.
people coming in. And I think that you're paving the way for other people to see this profession as something that if they have a servant's heart, if they
Yeah.
want to serve and take care of people. Most people think, oh, I'll be a doctor, a lawyer, or whatever, or a nurse or a teacher. But
Mhm.
this is a different kind of care, right? You're helping people I call this sacred work because you're helping people in what is most likely the lowest part time in their life, and you're
Absolutely.
lifting them up. And as you said earlier, it was definitely a calling
Mhm.
um, that brought you into this. So you now have so many years in your future to be an example to other people who are going to be also rising stars like you, by the way.
Mhm.
And if you
Yeah.
guys don't know what it is, we are members of the International Order of the Golden Rule, which is Association of Independent Funeral Homes all across the world. And this year, just a couple months ago, Madison won the Rising Star Award for her work, and that I see potential in her. So um, yay. I was really proud of you for that. Okay, so that kind of leads us into our next segment because the problem is that funeral homes typically are invisible until they're needed.
Mhm.
So let's start here. So most funeral homes spend thousands of dollars generating leads, but I think the bigger challenge is that many people in their community just don't know them until someone dies. So if I could ask you, why do you think owners should think about community engagement as marketing?
Yeah, so I think we really need to focus on that community engagement, just because if they don't see you, they're not gonna recognize you, I mean, it's just like, I hate to say it, but it is very similar to companies that advertise products. You see
Right.
the repetitive commercials, you hear the jingles, you hear all the things, and so your brain makes
Yeah.
that association. So
Right.
it's the same thing with funeral homes. If they first of all, they make that association with your logo, the name of your funeral home, but not only that, but they're seeing your personality. They're seeing that you actually care about what you do. They're seeing that you care about the families that you're taking care of. You have an interest in their lives. I mean, you're really wearing your heart on your sleeve, and I think people really respond to that. Um,
Yeah.
that's one of the biggest things that we hear, is that people just like getting to know us, and they like when we get to know them. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
it's that personal connection that people really crave and that they need.
Yeah.
And then, of course, that translates to when they do need your services, they know that they can rely on you. They know that you're the person they can count on, and they're already comfortable with you. So it makes the process so much easier.
That's awesome. Yeah. Especially when they come to your facility or your building, um, do something that is honoring someone in their life. The next time they need you, they're going to think, oh,
Mhm.
I was comfortable there. So actually, let's jump ahead a little bit because I really want you to share about you did this really cool event that brings the community together. So that's what we're talking about, the community engagement. You're engaging the community to come to your place to celebrate something that's not just death. So yesterday you did a butterfly release. Can you
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about it and get tactical? Like, why did you do it? What were, like, I know you've done it before. So kind of like, what is the process that you went through? How did you inspire the community to come?
Mhm.
And kind of what did you do physically to do this butterfly release? Because I absolutely love this concept.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is one of those. It can be a lighthearted event, but it can also be very touching for a lot of people. Um,
Mhm.
Adam has been doing this event for, oh, I'm not sure how long. Probably another one of those things that he started when he, took over the business.
Really? Oh
So
my
he's
gosh,
always
back
been
in 2017?
I'm not sure exactly how long, but I know he's been doing it
Yeah.
since before I was here. Um,
Okay.
but he's always had a good response to this. I think I think the part that people really like is, first of all, it's butterflies and they're beautiful and it's fun. But I
Yeah.
think people like the idea of you kind of you send a wish with the butterfly. They're flying up into the sky. There's I mean, hundreds of poems that you can find online and songs that are, oh, the butterfly is gonna take a kiss to your loved one, send them a hug, send them a special wish, that sort of thing. So
Love
it's really
that.
sweet in that aspect. But I think it's also very I feel like it can be such a symbolic experience because yes, you're, sending that wish off to your loved one. But I think just, the symbolism of the butterfly flying away, it's, you're setting your loved one free, you're, moving on with your grief. And of course that grief is always there, but it's more of, that transformation within
Right.
your grieving process. Um,
Yeah. Letting
so this is
go of it
something
a
that we
little,
love to do. Mhm.
literally letting it fly. And you mentioned the transformation because obviously a butterfly
Mhm.
transforms from a caterpillar to a butterfly. So it is because the stage of grief they're not linear, right? It's definitely cyclical. Like
Mhm.
that will come back and hit you when you least expect it. But at the end of the day, we know that grief is just the product of love. That
Exactly.
you're left. That's grief is almost the gift that love gives you. If you didn't grieve, it's because you really didn't love. So what a gift that is. So when
Exactly.
you bring people together, do you like circle up in the parking lot? Are you inside? Like funeral homes are going to probably want to know, how did you do it and what did you do?
Yeah. So we did it actually a little bit differently this year than we did the past couple years. Um,
Okay.
there's a restaurant right on the corner of the block that we're on that we work with a lot. They're called Bella Cucina. They help us out with our other events and stuff too. But normally we do hors d'oeuvres on their patio for about half an hour, just, finger food, charcuterie, that sort of thing. And
Yum.
then we move over to the park, the city park that's directly across the street from the building. Um, it's really convenient that our location is very
Yeah.
convenient. I will say that. So that makes this
Yeah.
a lot easier to plan. But we would just gather everyone in Fountain Park right across the street after hors d'oeuvres. We have just a short service that we say. We like to keep it short just because it keeps people's attention, but also we're outside when we do this, so we need to be careful with the weather. Um,
Yeah.
but we normally just bring one of our own speakers over and a microphone, and we give our little speech. We have a couple poems that we read. We usually play a song in the middle of the service, just a short one. And then after we're done with that, we give instructions on how to release the butterflies.
Oh.
So the place that we get our butterflies from, it's about an hour away. We pick them up in the morning, and they have
Oh.
butterflies in little individual, sorry, my camera's flipped. We have these little individual paper packages that they come in.
Okay.
There's two little tabs, and you just like twist the package open, and then they stretch their wings and they just fly right out. So we like to do
Oh,
that instead of like a batch release, just because they get to do it individually, and especially with people that bring their kids and stuff, they really enjoy that. Um,
have
but
you
we
have to ask a question because I've heard this happen. Is there very many that haven't made have made their own transition, so to speak, when the paper is open?
So we always get a few extras because that can happen. I don't think it happens very often, at least not from what I've noticed.
Okay.
Now, of course, that can also depend on the weather some years. I know last year we had some butterflies. We only had, I think, one or two that were not able to fly when they were released. But last
Well,
year it
tell
was
us.
really humid out, so it took them a while to
Oh,
start moving.
oh, because they were too warm?
Just because it was so humid out, it just I think they just didn't wanna fly because it was so hot outside, but we were in the
They're like, "We need
shade,
a
there's a lot
minute.
of
We need
trees
a
and
minute."
bushes and stuff, so
Yeah. Well, we're planning on a local client of ours wants to do this as well. We're gonna combine it with a workshop. So we're trying to figure out
Mm,
like, do we do it at the beginning? Do we take a break in between and then come back and talk about the symbolism, which might be kind of
mhm.
cool. But the funeral director said she's had experiences where it's a little traumatic for some of the people because they aren't always living. And so
Yeah.
she said she likes to open the packages and put them like in like a little box. And then so
Mm,
they're all kind of getting their groove on, and then she likes to release them in mass. So that's why I asked you that because I like the idea of having everyone twist and let the
yeah.
phone go out. So It's nice to know that it hasn't happened very much that they
Yeah, and like
go
I
to
said,
heaven
we always
first.
have some extras just in case, it happens, but we've
Yeah,
been pretty lucky the past few years, so
good, good.
yeah.
I'm glad. Okay, awesome. And okay, so excuse me. So excuse me. I always like to have a framework in a show. And because the show is about being known before you're needed, the acronym that I like to use with known is K is for keep showing up, because visibility isn't just one event, it's consistency. So we're going to talk about some of the other events you do. N is for nurturing relationships, because you need to serve before you sell.
Mhm.
O is for offer value, education, support, experiences people obviously love. W is for welcome everyone. Your building should feel approachable before it's ever needed. And N is never stop serving your community. I know it's probably hard to remember what those all are, but I wanted to ask you, which letter, which concept do you think most funeral homes struggle with the most?
Mhm.
Showing up, nurturing relationships, offering value, welcoming everyone, and never stop serving their communities.
I think honestly, I feel like the nurturing of communities can be a little difficult. Um, for us personally, I feel like it's we have a little bit of an advantage, being that we're in a small town. We do have
Mm.
2 other funeral homes in town, and,
Oh,
so we're not, like, the only one, in the area, but we are the
right.
only ones that really do, more than just a Christmas service, which the Christmas
Okay.
services are fantastic. I love
Sure.
when funeral homes do those. I think they're very valuable for the families that they serve,
Yes.
but we have a little bit of an advantage there just because, we know so many people in the community because it's such a small town. We have a lot of connections with the other local businesses, that help get the word out, that sort of thing. But I think, definitely nurturing those relationships ahead of time is where a lot of places can struggle. We
Yeah.
don't for the majority of our events, we don't typically turn anyone away. Our events are open to the public, so it's not you don't have to be served by our funeral home,
Sure.
to use our resources here.
That's awesome.
So it does kind of open that door for other families, if they would want to, if they haven't used us at all yet, that gives them the opportunity to talk to us, get to know us, see what we do, what we can
Yeah.
offer, the resources that we have,
Right.
and that again, it just really opens that door and it gets your name out there more. And again, it just makes people more comfortable with you. But I feel like that can be hard for some funeral homes, especially if you're in a large area with a ton of funeral homes. Like
Yeah.
I mean, if there's a lot of events
But
going
it
on.
does make you stand out. I mean, like, what you're doing is because there's 3 in your community,
Mhm.
you're outshining the other 2 because you're doing more events. And, let's talk about so you do a painting,
Yes.
class,
Yeah.
and you do the holiday one, but I love
Mhm.
the painting one. So tell us a little bit about what you do with the.
Yeah, so those paint classes, we started doing those I think during my internship is when we started doing those because I actually had time since I was done with school,
Yeah,
but
and
it
you're
was really
artistic,
cool.
obviously. You wouldn't have wanted to go to SCAD if you're not artistic,
Yeah,
so
exactly,
yeah.
yeah, so I was really excited to kinda start implementing that with our aftercare program. It kinda touches on some things that I'm passionate about there, but I'd say, every few months I don't think we have, like, a set schedule on how many we do a year,
Oh,
but, every few months we'll do a paint class. It's almost like a paint and sip without the sip.
right.
We don't provide alcohol, but, if we do them at, usually at that restaurant that's up on the corner, Bella Cucina. They have a back private room there.
Okay.
So if they want to order something, they can, but that's not,
Yeah,
the main point
you're
at
gonna
all.
provide it. Yeah.
But I'll come up with some kind of seasonal painting. I'll, look on Pinterest and stuff, but I try to keep it somewhat original just so it's unique. Um, and then I will try to come up with some sort of grief related lesson to go along with that painting. Um, so let me think of one of the last ones we did.
We did one
We
at,
did
our
water
local
lilies.
one, which was a Valentine's theme, and
Yeah,
we
yeah,
were
I saw
making
those
thinking of
ones.
remember did I tell you about that?
I
Did I tell
saw
you about
some
it?
pictures on Facebook about it.
Okay. Yeah, we, wanted it to let people, like, make a Valentine for their loved one in heaven. And
Mhm.
so it was a very and my daughter actually was the one who led the class, which is kind of fun.
Oh, fun.
So it was all about, talking about putting messages into
Mhm.
the back of the painting, and you could make it so it's visible. Or some people wrote a private message on a piece of parchment, and then they placed it in the back and they put it over it. So they
Mhm.
knew that message was there, or a verse or a scripture or something,
Yeah.
a verse from like a song or something. Was so touching. And people said, well, I don't want to, I'm not artistic or what.
Mhm.
And I said, well, maybe you could make it as a gift to your daughter.
Yeah.
It's therapeutic for you to do the art
Mhm.
because it helps you release, and sometimes in a community working side by side is very good for mental health as well.
Yeah.
But it could be a gift for someone that's still living to remember their mom. I was like trying to pull ideas. So what was your one that you think was the most popular? What theme?
Our last one people really enjoyed. We did a rendition of Monet's Water Lilies. That one was really fun. I think they were a little
Wow.
intimidated at first because it looks like it takes a lot of artistic talent. You're just
No.
putting blobs on a canvas. But they really enjoyed that one. They loved it. Oh my gosh, everyone did so well. I know what's another one that they really enjoyed. Um,
I'm gonna have to stalk your
did
page and go look at those.
Yeah, there was one we did last summer, and it was on a black background. We did mason jars with sparklers coming out of them.
Oh,
It was letting your love still light up. I don't
oh,
remember how we worded that, but it was like even though your life can feel like it's in a dark spot with the grief that you're in the grieving process, like that love that you have for that person still shines, is essentially what that message was. But they really enjoyed that one. They all did a great job on that one as well. Yeah.
that's really cool. And it's something that, again, you could probably put in your office or your
Mm.
bookshelf or whatever, as a
Yeah.
little remembrance of when I've been seeing people take ashes and put that into the painting.
Oh
Um,
wow. What a
where
neat
if
idea.
they, yeah, I've seen it in professional shows. They give a professional artist,
Mhm.
but I think there wouldn't be anything wrong with taking a little ashes out of the urn and
Mhm.
sprinkling it into the, some glitter with, I don't know. You could be as creative
Yeah.
as you want. There's no limits to it. But
Mhm.
yeah. Oh, good. I actually gave you an idea. I thought you'd be,
That
you
is an
don't really think.
idea. Yeah.
Wow, that's so fun. Okay, so in this next segment, we talk about case examples, like what you've seen, because I know you've been in the industry now technically for 5 years, about 4 years. How long have you been?
I'd say probably more 4. Yeah.
4. Okay, still, I mean, you've seen a lot of things. So, um, of communities that you've done so far, we've talked about the butterfly release, talked about
Mhm.
painting, the holiday party, or not party, but remembrance.
Yeah.
Tell us about a community event, your expectations. Like, what surprised you? Was it the feedback families gave you? Are the relationships that you see keep people coming back for them? Or like, what was your favorite event? Like, kind of like in that perspective.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I lost you there for a second.
Oh, sorry, the connection. Yeah. No, I said, tell us about a community event, and maybe it's not even yours. Maybe it's something you've seen other people
Mhm,
do in other parts. You go to events and you see what other people do. Um,
mhm.
what like what was your favorite? What was an event that maybe exceeded your expectations? Maybe is surprised you about the feedback you got from people,
Mhm,
or that you've seen people come back again and again because they like one element. One thing that give an idea to another funeral home that will encourage them to do these events.
mhm. Let's see. I feel like I'm always
Um,
surprised by the feedback to all of them just because people are so
yeah,
sweet and they really do enjoy these events and they enjoy getting connected. Um,
yeah.
I feel like I'm in between 2. So I'd say either we did a charcuterie board class, and we also
Oh,
did a bus trip to the National Cemetery of the Alleghenies. That's our closest national cemetery here to Franklin. It's
oh,
about,
wow.
I think it's like an hour and a half, hour 45 drive, maybe a little less than that. But both of those,
Okay.
a great response. And now those are 2 very, very different groups of people that we had there. One was a part of our aftercare program. And then the other one, of course, would be, more focused on our military families, and
Right.
families that maybe haven't used us yet, but are looking into prearranging that sort of thing. Um,
Right. That is
but
brilliant, actually. So
yeah,
you rent a bus and
yep,
then people get on and that is really cool because people love that kind of stuff. Like we did a tour of Forest Lawn, I think during
mm,
that conference that you and I attended.
mhm,
And I had been there for funerals and it's a gorgeous cemetery. Oh my gosh.
mhm,
But nice the tour is that you hear the stories
yeah,
and the history, and it's fascinating. So that is
mhm.
brilliant. So again, funeral owner, if you're listening, look for things that would be interesting to people. And it doesn't have to be at your facility, as you just mentioned. It could be at a restaurant, it could be
Yeah,
in a park, it could be a tour of something that people are fascinated with. I love that. Okay,
yeah,
so now we always usually talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. So we've just talked about the good. Obviously, a couple events are phenomenal.
mhm,
Um, is there something, and we're just going to combine bad and ugly. And again, no names. We don't shame. But is there something you've seen that is kind of cringeworthy that that maybe a funeral home has tried, and you're like, oh man, back your truck up. Like, don't go there. So it could save someone that hurdle that they don't have to
mhm.
jump over.
Honestly, I feel like the funeral homes that are putting themselves out there, you can't really say anything too negative about it. I mean, different things work
Yeah.
for different people. Now I've
The fact they're
seen
putting themselves out there, I hear what you're
exactly,
saying.
the fact
Like
that they're putting
the fact
themselves
that
out
you're
there and are willing
trying.
to do that is just leaps and bounds ahead of so many other firms, that could be utilizing that as something to help them grow. But
Yeah.
honestly, I mean, I've seen a couple things just on social media that I'm like, maybe that probably not the approach I would take for that. But I mean,
Yeah.
it gets people engaged, it gets people interested in talking to them. It familiarizes people with your business and with what you do at your funeral home. um,
I love it.
Me personally, um, I'm not the biggest fan of getting too into detail with some of the preparations that we do, just with the general public. I mean, if people have questions and they want to talk to me about it, I will absolutely have a
Sure.
conversation with them. I'm all about making sure people are educated and they know what's going on, and being very transparent and honest with people. But it's
Right.
also just for me, that's one of those things where, again, if you would want to come to me and you have questions and you want to have a conversation, I'll do that. I just
Mhm.
I personally wouldn't be the one to put it on display. You know what I mean?
Right.
Nothing
Well, it's
wrong with
not
that. There's
everybody's.
people that do that very
Yeah.
tastefully. Just for me personally,
Sure.
not the approach I would wanna take.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's
Mhm,
it's not everybody's cup of tea. Not everybody's comfortable with that kind of stuff. But some people are totally into it.
mhm.
It's not, no, the door's always open. I was going to say
Yeah.
something I was thinking about when we were talking about the good, bad, ugly. Like you wouldn't have someone dress up as the Grim Reaper
Yeah,
and
that's
go
probably
and
not
visit a senior home to pass out cards. Like
Yeah,
that would be the ugly. Don't do that.
yeah, yeah. But, I mean,
I
another thing that we do, we use we put the hearse out front of the funeral home. There is a, oh goodness, what's it called? Basically an alliance of the local businesses in town. We do a trick or treat that's different than the community trick or treat. It's a different day. But we
okay,
all the storefronts will, pass out candy. So we put the hearse out front. And I decorated in the back, like I disinfect everything. Don't worry, we're
of
clean, we're
course,
good.
yes, yeah,
But we'll
yeah,
sit in the back and we have a music playlist and hand out candy. And I'm sure that there are funeral directors out there that would be just absolutely mortified that we do that. And I get it. I do. But again, see, there's different things that aren't for everyone, but that's something that works
yep,
for us. We get a lot of engagement. Kids are always super interested. So,
yeah. Yeah, no, I actually applaud you. I think that people are interested, will walk over, others will step back, and
mhm,
that's okay. We actually did and actually we won a award with OGR, a community award. We
mhm,
did a Day of the Dead, Dios los Muertos event. We
mhm,
hosted, or we licensed Coco, the movie, in the chapel because you already have the screens.
yeah,
So we made popcorn and we had non-sticky sodas, so like sparkling waters
there
with
you
flavors and things like that.
go.
And so people came in and watch that. But to promote it, because it was the week after Halloween, again, we didn't want to compete with all the community events. We went to the community Halloween event in the local like shopping center,
Yeah.
and we brought a demo coffin, the
Oh,
lightweight ones. It was
wow.
one that made out
Yeah.
of wicker, and we filled it with candy. And we had like a light coming out of it, and even like a
Mhm.
little skeleton. And then, but we had helpers that were dressed up, and
Mhm.
so people could, if they want, we would put candy in their bag.
Mhm.
But for the ones who wanted to, they reached their hand in the coffin to get it. And he was,
Oh,
no, he was
wow.
clean.
Yeah.
He was so polite. But you know what? They loved it. And we were
Mhm.
passing out like postcard invitations to come to the movie the next weekend. And yeah, people just dug it. They were taking pictures of it, and they're like, this is
Yeah.
so cool. And yeah, so one little kid goes, can I get in? I'm like, no, not today. But
Yeah.
thank you for asking, you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So this one is segment is called rapid fire. So I want you to finish these sentences. Just first thing that comes off your top of
Mhm.
your head. Community engagement is,
Necessary.
love it.
Necessary
The
for you
biggest
to
myth
grow.
necessary to grow. I agree. The biggest myth about funeral home marketing is,
That it has to be complicated.
I love that. The easiest event to host is,
Oh, I don't know. Oh my gosh, that one's tough. Easiest event to host? Picnic? Cookout? That could be pretty
ooh,
easy.
oh, that would be cool. I like that. The future of funeral homes, the future of funeral homes belong to those who,
Put themselves out there.
love it. That's awesome. Okay, so here's the fast fix. If a funeral home owner wanted to become more visible in the next 30 days, what would you tell them to do first?
Get on your Facebook page. I know not everyone likes it. I make Facebook videos for our page every now and then. It's not my favorite thing ever either, but it
Okay.
works. People will recognize it. I cannot tell you how many times we have had people, that come in to go to a visitation and they're, oh my gosh, I love what you're doing on Facebook. I love your videos. And it's one of those things that just it's an easy way to get yourself out there. You can do it. You don't even need someone to manage your page. You can just do it for free. You don't have to pay for that advertising. But it gets your face out there. It gets your name out there. It gets all of your marketing, your logos, your different events, if you have, packages even, and you want to put those on your Facebook page. It's easily accessible and a lot of people will see it that way.
I love it. And once you get people used to coming there for inspiration, for education,
Mhm.
obviously you're going online. People, it normalizes a little bit, and they're like, "Oh,
Yes.
I like it." Like it's one of our local client. We do a Deathcare marketing show, and sorry, Deathcare. It's called. That's what this show is. The Deathcare marketing show. It's called Dialogues About Death, and oh, I had an interesting idea about an event that I get your opinion on. But anyway, but we go live about once a month, and then we use the content from that show, and
Mhm.
we repurpose it, little
Mm.
nuggets. So Chris will brilliantly off the cuff say something that's so deep, like, oh, that's great, so we'll cut that segment and we use that. So people are always like sharing his content because they're like, it's something that would hit home to someone who's going through it.
Yeah.
If he's a widow, he lost his dad. Like he said he's a better funeral director because of the loss. And it's
Mhm.
made him like go deeper in regards to his empathy.
Mhm.
So that it's not really an event we're talking about today, but these are little events on Facebook. And so it's
Mhm.
a great way also to promote your local events. Like, hey, we're having like, I saw your butterfly release on Facebook. And I was like, that's so cool. I love that idea. So
Mhm.
here was the idea that I was going to share with you. So we have a local chili cook-off, and
Ooh.
they we had the idea of creating a chili called Death Chili, and
Mm.
then we thought about having like a cauldron and a cow bone that we would have someone stirring the chili. Do you think that's too far? Do you think it's a little too far?
I feel like you can come up with a little bit of a different name for it because I like that idea, but I feel like there's another pun in there somewhere that would do really
There's
well.
got to be. There's got to be.
Man, I like it. I think that's fun.
Yeah.
I think for if you're in the crowd that goes to a chili cook-off, I feel like that's the kind of humor that you're gonna like.
Yeah. Well,
I say that as well as people.
they have like ghost chili, right? Which is like a really
Yeah.
like a hot chili. You could
Mhm.
say something about like we sit here and brainstorm, but something about like I don't know,
Yeah.
don't ghost
No, there's
me. You
definitely
have us some chili.
a lot of different avenues you can go down with that. I mean,
Yeah.
'cause that's big with people that are, like, really into, like, trying different hot sauces and, like, seeing how like, what heat tolerance they can handle. There's some crazy names on those too, so I'm sure you could find something fun like that.
Right. I know one of our favorite shows as a family is that Hot Shots. Have you seen that?
Mm, yeah, yeah.
You like that? He does, and he asks them questions. So if anybody hasn't seen it, it's this interviewer who's brilliant. He asks them deep questions, but every time they have to take a shot of a hotter sauce. So as a progressive, they're literally crying. These are famous like celebrities. They're literally crying as they're trying to answer the question. So they get really real because it's hard to like be fake when you're like
Mhm.
sweating on
Yeah.
camera. So yeah. Well, thank you for letting me pass that by you. That's so funny. Well,
Yeah.
that's it for the show. Madison, thank you so much for this conversation because it reminds us that marketing isn't about getting louder. It's about becoming familiar, right? Families don't choose a funeral home that they've seen the most ads from. Choose the one that they know, the one that they trust, the one that has been showing up long before they needed them, right? So if this helped everyone, share it with a funeral home who might need it. Let's do what works. Let's drop what doesn't. And we'll see you next time on the Deathcare Marketing Show. Thanks, Madison. Have a great day. God bless.
Good to see
Stick
ya.
on and I'll be right back.